ask yourself this question. Based on where I say I want to go, am I taking a step forward, or am I going there fast enough? Am I going there with integrity? Um, and just really look at critically, is your current writing habit leading you where you say you want to go?
Hey guys, my name is Delisha Ivins, and today I am here with Jody Aberdeen, who has been rocking it in the No Pants Facebook group. Jody, where are you joining us from? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Yeah.
And where are you joining us from today?
So I live in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We're about an hour south of Toronto, and
cool.
I'm just in my my home.
Nice. So you're not too far from the big city then.
No, Hamilton itself is well, it's not it is a big city. It's one of the two. Toronto's where, everyone who's not from here talks about Toronto. We're kind of like the Portland to Toronto's Seattle type of thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have you on today because I've been nerdily following along with your story since you started MPP, silently stalking you in the background. So I'm very excited to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
And figure it out.
Sure.
All right, so tell me about your superpower.
Okay, well, in doing my prep for this interview, I realized I could condense it into an acronym, which makes that organizational obsessive side of me really happy.
Nice.
So I call it SCORE. So my superpowers, I combine. So I'm a creative writing and storytelling consultant, which is the title that I got directly from the work in the No Pants project. My superpowers are my writing skills, of course, but not just that. My skill sets including I've done public speaking, I've done my own sort of personal coaching, and bringing all of those things to bear on my work. I'm also, creativity is my next one. I am a story junkie. I've been reading fiction, watching fiction, listening to fiction since I was a kid. So I've got kind of the sense of what makes a good story, what makes great dialogue and whatnot. So I've got the creative sense. Organization. My working background up until 5 years ago was in logistics, transportation, warehousing. So I worked for the distributor for a certain major #1 retailer in the world. I worked at their distribution center here in Greater Toronto for about 8 years, and then transitioned off that. So that's given me a strong sense of organization, prep, getting things done on time, sometimes really obnoxiously. So last two things, relatability. So I grew up, I wasn't a terribly popular kid. I didn't know how to relate to people. I'm very shy, still am as a grown up, but now I've developed people skills. So I can make friends with basically anybody, really sit with them, let them be how they are, and get their stories basically. And last is experience. So I have my honors degree in English and history, which is fine for training, but I've written 2 books of my own. I've ghostwritten at least, or edited at least now 7 manuscripts. I just helped with one recently. I've written 2 TV pilots that are perpetually under review before I can submit them anywhere. But more than that, I've kind of been around the block a few times in life, so I've had experiences that add to my own storytelling capacity and really inform all those other skills. And what's cool is that I didn't think they were as essential or relevant until I started doing this work in the course. I didn't think they mattered.
I know. And, I got to tell you, out of the interviews I've done, you are the first person who has created an acronym for their superpower. And that is a flipping superpower. That's awesome.
Thanks. It's I really wanted it to spell a word, so.
I love it so much. And I love the Captain America poster behind you.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, so Jody, how are you enjoying freelancing since you've started?
I'm enjoying freelancing much more than I was before. Let me tell you. Beforehand, I was making all those mistakes that that you learn early on in the No Pants project not to do. So I was commodifying myself. I was trying to beat my competition on price. I was trying to establish it based solely on the services and skills, rather than what I brought to the picture. Right, this idea that I can go to Upwork or Elance back in the day, and same site, but I can go and do those things, and somehow manage to make a strong living from it. And That was before. Now, this is what I'm doing. This is my full-time commitment. Um, I can't imagine now, looking back 6 months ago, even just especially a year ago, thinking that I can just go to a job and get the same type of experience. I'm essentially done with jobs, and yeah, I'm honestly full on into this freelance stuff now that I found a way to make it work for me.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
tell me about some of the goals that you have.
Well, I want to pay back my parents. I'm Canadian. My family comes from Trinidad, so in the Caribbean, and so they're raised with a very, get a job, come to a first world country, get a job, work your way up to a company for 40 years, save up money, all that stuff, right? They're not, they're supportive to some degree, but the back of their heads, they're retired now. They only want to see their kids being successful, and the way that they've defined that is through a job. So, and every so often they've had to help me out, right? At least leading up to this stage. So, what I want to do is pay them back, and I want to pay them back by doing the work that I enjoy doing, right? Through freelancing,
Mhm.
because it's a double whammy at that point. I get to A, pay them back, right? And B, show them, hey, I'm right. This works. And it's a little petty, but it's true. I want to show them that this works.
I don't think that's petty. I mean, I totally get it because
Yeah.
you want to show them that, yeah, like you have the grit and the wherewithal to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and not have to be under, somebody else in order to make your business work.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
absolutely. And you shouldn't, to any new freelancers watching this isn't to say don't ask for help. Absolutely. Right. If you need help and people are willing to give it to you, absolutely take it if you need it. And know that if you stick with it, right, it'll work. What do they say? It only works if you work it, or you work the plan, something like that. Keep at it, learn from your mistakes and adapt, and you'll get there. So I want to do that. I want to travel to Paris, and it's kind of strange, of all places. I just wanted to see it. I don't even care to go to the museums or anything like that. I just want to walk down the street, see what I find, so that no one else has really seen. See it for what it actually is, and not just what the travel guides say it is. And that's been on my list. I think if I didn't go to Paris at least once in my life, that's going to be a regret that I have. And eventually, I want to, I'm contemplating transitioning all of my skills in the freelancing area to working in the film and TV industry. So sort of either as a screenwriter or something like that. But that's a really recent consideration. I want to see where this goes. It's interesting. You asked me about goals. One of the challenges that I'm still running into in the course that I'm going to reach out, well, to the coaches, right, to all of you, and basically for support at one point, is this idea of goal setting. I find that my priorities and my goals change quite a bit. And they're usually within like the next 2 or 3 like fiscal quarters type of thing, right? What's my goal for the next 3 months, for the next year? In terms of setting that long-term goal, I know it was one of the first exercises that we did. I've actually found that I've changed it a lot because I have been changing and transforming in the process of doing all of this work. So as of right now, though, those are the 3 that are on my mind quite a bit.
That's awesome. I mean, well, anytime travel is involved, like I'm automatically up for it. So I think anytime that you can include, for people who love to travel, to be able to travel to other places, to experience other things. That's just going to widen your horizons even more. And it's going to add levels to your creativity because you'll have new experiences to pull from when you write and when you ghostwrite, when you edit. You'll have just new ideas that will be planted there from just experiencing another culture. So I say go for it. Just build it up, set your date, get ready to book your flight, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say that too. I had in 2011 when I was researching my novel, I traveled. I just took a solo trip to California. So I did the Highway 1 trip just for a week on my own, just San Francisco to LA, and that was. I don't know if I do it again because it was super lonely at times, but I got to get a taste of what it was like to do it. So, and you're right, I got perspectives out of that trip that I wouldn't have had just kind of imagining what it would be like sitting at home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to get out there. Absolutely.
Most definitely. So I know that you said that goal setting was a struggle for you, and that's definitely something that we can help work with you on, in the MPP coaching program too. But were there any other struggles that you had when you were working through the course and trying to create your freelance business?
Well, and there were. So one thing about the No Pants Project coaching course is that it rolls a lot deeper than just work. It's not just about creating a business. You reflect on your own life. That was one of the biggest sort of surprises of the program, and one of the things that lured me to it was when Mike was talking about it on the preliminary video. When you have a course that challenges you to kind of look deep into like your own life, reflecting on your experiences and also your goals and your dreams, to find that motivation, I think it brings up a few things. For me, I love the validation that I got with knowing that my experiences mattered. Where that challenged me was thinking, is that enough? Am I enough? I got a strong kind of imposter syndrome when I started hearing that I could, for example, charging an amount of money that was at least 4 or 5 times in some cases what I previously charged when I first started doing this. That was a bit of a challenge. It's like, can I not just can I deliver? Intellectually, I knew that I could, but like I still got butterflies. And now I'm actually finding that I can, and it's fine. And the butterflies are always going to be there. But that struggle with imposter syndrome was there for a while. Even when I didn't share in the group that it was there, it was still there. Still kind of is. I think it's just always going to be there. So I'm just going to go with it.
I think somebody said once, I can't remember who it was. I'll have to find the quote for you. But they're basically like, if you don't feel like an imposter, you may be doing it wrong. Like at some point, you should always be setting yourself up to achieve more and to push yourself more and to deliver better results for a client. So if you ever hit a space where like intellectually, like you said, like, yeah, I can do this. Like, even if I don't exactly know the one thing I need to make this work, like I have all these other key components, but there's like one little thing I'm missing, but I can learn it and I can totally do it. You just want to always be challenging yourself and, not getting too comfortable, because when you get set in that kind of comfort zone, you're not challenging yourself and you're not challenging even the results, like getting better results and better results for your clients. So, I think, at some point it's just kind of something that you kind of, you realize at some point everybody's got it. Everybody has it at some phase, and you kind of learn to make amends with it. And as long as you're getting the results for your clients, like, you're not an imposter. Totally different than if you're trying to sell a lot of stuff and if you're not delivering results. But from what I've seen in the group, you have been, so you've been on it.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels good. I think that in terms of struggles, that was a big one. I still get a little queasy on price. Again, that's another one that's not going to go away, but that's because with every do-it-for-you service that I'm providing now, especially when it comes to ghostwriting an entire book, I'm going to be raising the price by a certain increment with each new project, because it makes sense. A book is a big undertaking. So why wouldn't, and you learn from it. So you gain experience. Everything is slightly new. Even though the fundamentals of writing a book and ghostwriting it and laying it out and whatnot is essentially, very basic. Why wouldn't you increase your own pay commensurate with your experience? That's what happens in the workforce.
Right.
Right.
Most
So I think, and that's a good point. It's like if you're not challenging yourself, that feeling is always going to be there.
definitely.
So that's really good.
So
It doesn't feel good, but it is good.
I know. Well, you'll have those little nuggets for me every once in a while that might be halfway decent.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been your support like as well, like for just personally, it's been really great, and I definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate what when you've come in with a comforting word and some a little kick to the butt type of thing to get going. So I appreciate that.
That's me,
Yeah.
the butt kicker Ivans. It's my new sign off on all my emails.
Listen, that's an email signature if I've seen one.
So, all right. Tell me, did you kind of already have an idea of what your superpower would be coming into MPP? I mean, you already had some background writing experience and you were working on like some of these other, bid for job sites. So you had kind of part of it figured out. Did you
Yeah,
have it?
I had a part of it. You're right. Like it was very much task oriented though, where I would be, so I write books for people who don't have the time. It was like an elevator spiel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a ghostwriter, so what I do is I write books for people who don't have the time, talent, or the interests or patience to do it themselves, right? And it's like that's the task. But what makes me that's every other ghostwriter. Through the work, I saw that. Well, like now I have the SCORE acronym. Okay, and just for full disclosure, that's like 3 hours old. Like I was just doing the work here and I came up with it. I was like, that actually works. So now that I have the SCORE acronym, now I'm going to talk about it like it's been around forever. But
That's what you do. That's what you do. You found
yeah, I
you
was like,
found
I'm
your
going to turn this
key.
into a word. So the SCORE acronym actually does bring all that together, right? So my thing is like, how do I take my work experiences? I've slugged it out at like maybe double digits worth of jobs, right? For like people for years. And so like, what have I learned from each of those? So I could take that and apply it to what I already do. And I could also take like, the life experiences so I can not just in terms of how I express things, but where I'm coming from in terms of story. So if you're coming at me, say, a lot of people want to write biographies of stuff that's happened to them. I haven't had that exact experience, but I've had things that are pretty close to it most of the time. So I'm able to relate that. So like bringing those together is more than just saying, oh yeah, well I do it because you're too busy. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that was again, I had the starting point of a superpower going into the course, and now I have a more flushed out version of it that's whole and complete. I think thanks to the work I've done here.
I think you figured out what your superpower is, Jody. Like you took a task, a skill set that you were good at, and you combined it like the worksheets give you, and it takes some of us like a little, like it takes me longer to get some stuff than other people. You take that task and you combine it with your unique experience and your unique skill set, and that's how you get your superpower. So SCORE is your superpower. Some people call it like a unique selling point, but that's your thing. You got it. You figured it out.
Thanks. And again, full disclosure, one of the things I was gonna put novelty because I do think originality has, like I come up with new things, right? But then it would have spelled scorn, and I don't want people to think that's scorn. Or then it would have been corns, and that's even worse. So anyway, yeah, it's cool. But you're right. Like that ability to kind of, I like. So that's actually something that's coming to my mind right now. So I do this thing, and I'm doing it right now. I can feel it coming on where I just kind of get an idea download thing. It's like just come in, right? It's like the Matrix. Now I know I can fly a helicopter now. So it's like basically like when I was a kid, I like to mix up. If I had mashed potatoes, peas, and steak, I'm mixing all of those up on my plate, and a lot of people don't like that, which is weird because I also have that organization thing, which makes me want to keep it separate. But sometimes I just see things connecting, and so then I just put it together. So I just get those ideas. But yeah, you're right. Like that's actually now I have to update SCORE. I don't know what to call that, but I think, yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm gonna stop. You're killing me. This is
Sorry.
like, I love it. No, I love it.
Yeah.
You needed a good laugh this morning. You should add humor into your superpower statement. All right.
I don't know, but maybe.
Maybe.
That's kind of maybe S for shy too. Like I don't know. Like it's in the moment, but I feel like if I try to be funny, I'm not funny. I just kind of happens.
Nope, nope. You could definitely add it in there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was talking to somebody else, and it kind of another coach years ago, and it kind of uncovered that my humor. The funny thing is that it comes from having been laughed at as a kid. So it's like I was being picked on, bullied, but the other kids were laughing. So it's kind of once it's part of the relatability thing, I think.
Yeah. So you took
Right.
something that was an experience and you turned it into part of your superpower statement.
Yeah. Score.
Yeah. So, all right. So you already had some skill sets. How was your confidence going into the course?
When I saw the info video, I just knew, like, it was a strong gut feeling that I got to do this thing. At the time, I had just been through a job loss that was not so pleasant. That was wrongful in my view, and I had to basically resort to some other things to deal with it. So I was dealing with that unpleasant, icky feeling of this, like, oh, this is awful that this happened to me. And I thought, okay, well, what's left? I can either go back for another job, or I can just go back to freelancing, except I want to do something different. At the time, and I'm just getting to this part now in the 90-day program. At the time, I was developing my own how-to book. So I was going to have that passive income thing where you sell a book and whatever. And then the video came on. So then I just knew this is the core, this is the way forward. On the other side of this is everything I want. So I went in with, like, okay, my confidence grew when I realized how many participants in the group were first time. They were still working a job. They'd never done any freelancing of any kind before. And then that made me feel a bit better. It's like, now I found myself being able to offer them insights from stuff that I'd done. And I didn't consider myself an expert. I was just maybe 50 yards ahead of them, right? On the run. So it's like, I can tell you what's 50 yards ahead of you from where you are. So that was my ability to contribute, actually helped me grow my confidence a bit. And that's one of the great benefits of the No Pants program as well, is that if you have some experience, you've got an opportunity to contribute. And I love that Mike has set up a community where you can share of yourself, right? Even though you yourself may not feel confident in your abilities, someone else does, and someone else is asking for it, and you have a chance to share what you know with people who need it.
Most definitely. Yeah. The Facebook community is it's definitely help based and service based, and that's one of the things I love about hanging out in there. Just so happy. One lady the other day said she feels like she's, I don't know, what is it? She said something about like she's bounding in marshmallow pants or something whenever she got there, something like clouds of happiness. I don't even know. It was crazy, but I was like, I love your illustration.
I'll take marshmallow pants. Marshmallow
Right?
pants are great. That's the next project, Mike, the marshmallow pants project. There you go.
Okay. So before you started the No Pants project, you did some freelancing. You did it on some sites and like bid for, commoditize your skill sites. You took a job which had kind of a yucky ending and things weren't really working out there. And then you started No Pants and you've worked through the material and you're still working through the material. Tell me, like, what does a day in the life of Jody look like now? How are things going for you now?
It's really cool. Like, I'm not gonna hide from that. So so I wake up, I walk my dog. Right now I rent. I've been renting for the last few years, so I share a great house with some amazing housemates who are good friends of mine. And so I get up, I walk my dog, I meditate, I have a nice breakfast, and I take it easy. I don't feel this urge to jump in, and because I'm not going to a job, I'm not driving anywhere. I don't get that also icky kind of adrenaline rush, because, like, oh my God, gotta get going, gotta get going, gotta get going. No, I don't have that. So I spend the morning kind of getting, to use the new agey term, right? I get aligned with feeling really good. I journal, I'm in a beautiful space. It's very similar to the visualization exercise that I was doing from week 2. I basically work now. So what I've created in terms of a tangible structure is I work from 12 to 4, but I spent the first bit of my morning either sleeping in or exercising or doing stuff, so that by the time I get to that 12 to 4 time, I've shut down my other social media except maybe like YouTube. I play some music, and I find that I get more done in that 12 to 4 window than I ever got done with a full 8-hour schedule and like a half-hour lunch, no matter what it was.
Preach. I'm
Yeah,
with you.
yeah. And so when that's done, I put work away. If I have stuff now I have the flexibility to work longer if I need to, if there's like a deadline I'm a bit behind. But lately, for the last easily like 2 months, I feel at ease. I'm content. I'm downright happy a lot of the time with my work. Yeah, it's I think back to when I was hustling really hard at a job. And it's like, I can't believe I was that person. Now, I mean, I'm glad I was. I'm grateful for the experience. But yeah, it feels really good just to go about my day. And I'm getting work done and I'm getting paid. It's pretty cool to have to suddenly get an email notification that your client has paid you the full amount in advance because they know you're going to do your work. And you do get it done. I've gotten my last 2 deadlines, I've gotten done with 2 or 3 days ahead of schedule.
That's awesome.
It feels really good. This morning before this interview, I was emailing my my current ghostwriting client. We met her deadline 5 days ahead of schedule. So now it feels, and I think it's great. I'm a little nervous to see what she says. I always am, but this is the life that I want to have. So
That's so cool. I'm totally with you though. Like I think I read somewhere and I'll find it, but it was like when you work a job, it said something about like you're actually productive. I can't remember, but it was like between 50 and 60 or 65% of the time. So the rest of the time you're like getting up, you're stretching, you're walking, you're taking a lunch, you're taking a break, you're going to the copier, you're just printing stuff. But like actual like focused productivity time is around half of what you do in an 8-hour day.
yeah.
So yeah, I think taking that time in the morning especially is very important when you're working for yourself, because you do need to make sure that you're taking care of you and that you're eating healthy and you're doing those things so that you can deliver your best results for your clients.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about some of your wins. So I remember watching your story progress through the Facebook group, which was super fun, and following you along. And I remember, you know, some of the struggles you were posting, and then recently you've gotten a ghostwriting client, a big ghostwriting client, and some other stuff that's come your way. Tell me a little bit about, like, for those of us who are super nerdy, don't reveal names, but like, what do the numbers look like?
Okay. Without disclosing too much, the numbers look like one contract worth in the 5 figures, which came from one email that I sent 4 years ago as a cold approach that she kept. Which is funny because in the Fast Client Getting workshop that Mike runs, I was just getting ready to send out some cold emails when she had answered me. And so there's some spooky stuff happening. She emailed me just saying, hey, so I'm ready to write that book we talked about 4 years ago. So that went well. But on top of that, what I was able to get is that now instead of the one service, I also have, I think I'm up to 7. So right alongside I have numerous coaching services. I have a couple of them on the 1-hour consultation call basis, a few packages, right? And a few I think it was coordinator. I think like team coordinator things where I can bring together different people and just be the contact person. So that gives me a wider menu to offer people, which is great. And I offered it to her and she said, no, that's great. I like that, but I don't want those things. I want your book. It's like, okay, that's fine. But it was a good experience to have. Numbers wise, she referred me to then a second client, a friend of hers who just needs some book editing. So that was a good $3,000 worth of editing, which is great. Paid my rent, let me, have a few cool experiences, enjoy the summer. And it feeds on that, right? And so in terms of wins right now, I've added about 10 people to my mailing list. Still small, but I'm building on it. I have, and now I'm not sure what other numbers you want me to. I'm now thinking about numbers. Like that's basically it. I've essentially earned about half a year's worth of what I normally make in just 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still going from that.
That's pretty big. I mean, that's like you have a lot, and you've got a lot of room still to grow, and you can still get more referrals and getting those testimonials and that social proof, and getting that on your LinkedIn and on your website and all that. You've just got so many pieces to build off of, and you're just one step in, and there's so much that you still have available to you. So that's awesome.
I'm excited.
Yay! So how do you feel about your future now? I mean, I know it was kind of like crazy before you started No Pants, but what are you feeling now?
Really confident, and again, the goal setting thing I think as I mentioned before is a new challenge. It's obviously bringing up some stuff for me, so I'm going to be talking about that. But for the fall, I know that I want to really expand to my coaching. I do want to keep it going. I don't want to just plateau with one client. I want to make sure that I can get new clientele and offer some and serve people in alignment with what I have to offer. At the same time that I'm doing the fulfillment on the do it for you for this book. And so the coaching and like this, right, is for books and bringing out stories and whatnot. That's what I want to really focus on for the fall. So I have goals. I want to bring in $4,000 worth of new coaching clients. I want to start saving up for that trip, right? Start making that plan. I'm paying back my parents. It's in progress. I recently joined a gym. I rejoined the gym, so now I can get my energy back. I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm kind of looking at myself in the camera, it's like, oh my god, I have like 2 chins. But like there's things like that happening.
Let me teach you real quick how to solve that. This is what you do. You set your laptop up on books so that the angle's like this.
Jeez. All right, I'll remember that next time.
It's my trick.
Thanks, D. I appreciate that. That would have been useful as part of the prep, but that sounds.
I'm gonna tell you. Okay, I'm gonna have to include that in my prep notes for interviews from here on.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Thanks. I'll remember that. But yeah, no, these are things that I'm going. So I'm feeling very confident. A little cautious, just because there's always going to be another shoe that drops somewhere. But I'd rather live this way than kind of slogging it to a job, knowing how everything is going to turn out for the next couple of weeks, what my routine is going to be, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you. So okay, you're doing coaching, so I'm going to call you out. For those people who are watching this interview right now, who may or may not join the No Pants Project, what kind of stuff, what kind of tips or tricks can you give them? Maybe they're considering writing a book, or maybe they're considering, just goals that they have in their head. Like for the services that you offer, can you give them some tactics or some strategies or some fun little tips of things, like maybe like a top 2 or top 3 that they could use today to help build their business?
Absolutely. Okay. So the first thing is, I get it. You're busy. So everyone has got a time constraint, but that's no excuse if you've got a story that you really want to tell, that you say you really want to tell. So consider this: when you look at your writing practice, if you're writing every day or every week, whatever the pace is, ask yourself this question: based on where I say I want to go, am I taking a step forward, or am I going there fast enough? Am I going there with integrity? And just really look at critically, is your current writing habit leading you where you say you want to go? If it's not, right, then what are the reasons? And most of the times, you're too busy. So if you're too busy, I would suggest this. First, use your voice recorder on your phone. It seems kind of silly, but you say more words and you tell more of your story when you're speaking it than when you're writing it. You can fix everything in post-production, right? Like how they say in show business, you fix it in post. You can take it, transcribe it, and rewrite it later. but just get it out of your head, right? So, places where you can do this. You could set your recorder in your car and put your phone down and talk it out. You can do it on your lunch break. You can do it while you're trying to rock the kids to sleep, right? Just get your story out, whatever it is. And don't worry about it being perfect. That's the next thing. You try to get it perfect on the first go, you will not produce anything. So let go of perfection. Perfect stories are not of interest to anybody. It's those little flaws, those little idiosyncrasies that make a story unique, right? They're a key part of it. If you're really worried about mistakes, find an editor afterward. Get it out first. We'll clean it up afterward, right? So that's what we do. And sort of the last sort of tip is look at your reasons why you're doing it. So I would suggest that if you're doing it for the fame and fortune, if you think you're going to have this big gala book launch and you're going to be the bestseller, reaching Stephen King status, right? If you're doing it for that, you're probably not producing a great story, right? You're probably not even writing at all, right? I was part of a writers group, and it was great. We did some great work, but there was a big chunk of it where it was very ego-driven. We were all about the writer's lifestyle. I'm going to get this typewriter so I can look really cool and hipsterish while I'm writing. I'm going to smoke cigars because that's what Hemingway did. I think that's what Hemingway did. But you know what I'm saying? It's all about learn to differentiate between the writing life and actually writing, because there's a lot of superficiality with that. And that's not, if you want to be a writer, we are not in the business of superficiality. So those would be 3 things off the top of my head that I would suggest.
Those are awesome. Yeah, that's definitely some good stuff. I totally will take more advantage of my voice recorder now.
There you go. So put it to you this way, 5 minutes worth of recording, depending on how quickly you speak and how much the flow is coming through, can equal, in some cases, like 2,000 words, even more. So 2,000 words to 250 or 500 words of printed page. It's like 4 pages worth. And you could talk that out in 5 minutes.
So I could write a chapter in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you could. And you'll obviously, that's the raw idea. That's the raw story. You'll flush that out in your post editing, right? In your review. But the point is you've got it onto the page.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you're full of good chunks of information. So I'm going to plug you for more. So Jody, you've mentioned in the interview, you mentioned the Fast Client Getting Workshop, which I just need to let everybody know. For those of you who are considering the No Pants Project, the Fast Client Getting Workshop is a bonus course that Mike has created that actually, it's a separate course altogether, but it comes packaged with your MPP. So if you purchase the No Pants Project, you're going to get access to Fast Client Getting with it. It is sold as a separate course, but it comes together if you purchase the No Pants Project, which is amazing, because for those of you who, like Jody or like I, were working a job full-time or part-time and trying to break into freelancing, Fast Client Getting Workshop is a terrific way to get clients, get exposure, get some work under your belt at your freedom number, and to do that quickly. So just want to make sure that I clarify that. And now, Jody, to you, for the people who are considering the No Pants Project, what words of wisdom, what would you have to say to them?
I would say, to quote Shia LaBeouf, just do it. It's really great. No, it was, I got such a strong feeling about it. So if you're feeling that resonance, take the leap and put it this, I'll put it to you this way. At the time that I said yes to this course, I was not, if the problem that you have is money, I have gotten my course money back, immeasurably, and very quickly. So it does work. I can vouch for that. If you're worried that it might be a risk that's not worth taking, it's where do you want to go, right? If you are feeling that feeling right now and you've tried like me, if you've tried the freelancing thing, but you ended up getting stuck making less than minimum wage on a project that was worth maybe $10K, right? Then, I can understand you feel some reluctance, but this will actually give you the tools to step out of that paradigm and find the people who will actually pay you to do what you love to do anyway, right? And it's the first few weeks will transform your life and will transform your work. I can promise you that. You just have to work it.
I'm with you, brother. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think weeks 1 through like 2 and through or 3. I mean, all of it's good. All
All
12
of it's
weeks are
good.
good.
Yeah.
But the first
But
3
like
weeks,
you will start, yeah, you will get that sense of possibility, and you'll see opportunities within that first, like within those first few weeks.
mhm,
As soon as you sit and actually do, you know, do that type of deep sort of reflective work on yourself, and then you realize that, then you keep going, and you realize that then the course shows you that there's people out there who are looking exactly for you. The sky's the limit at that point. So you should take it if you're feeling that urge to take it.
right on.
Like really quickly, like I'll share some takeaways that I've gotten from this. So like one thing you could learn, that I've learned, is that I'm worth more than I could possibly imagine, that I did imagine before taking this course, and so are you. You might think that freelancing has to go a certain way, but this course taught me that it doesn't have to be that way, right? You can not just make a living, you could make more than you would at a job, just doing what you do for a hobby, or doing what you love anyway. The second thing is that I realized through this course that I was getting a lot of advice from the wrong prospects. Don't let the wrong prospects for you convince you that you're charging too much. That's usually the biggest complaint. Or when they say, well, why did you do this? Why do you need to spend the amount of time, right? They are not your clients, bottom line. And I think what ends up happening is when we run into enough people like that, especially if you're going through the commodity groups and like the platforms, you start to think that that's how everyone is. Like, no, those aren't your clients. The ones who make you question why they're paying you, what you're doing in the hour that you're paying you, or why you need this process, or why you work the way that you do. They undermine your confidence, and in the end, they're probably not going to pay you what you're worth, if at all, right? But that's not all of them. So don't, when you get it, sign up for this course, and you will meet people who are you'll meet people who either know your dream clients, have worked with your dream clients, or are your dream clients. And they will tell you that you're worth what you want. You're worth every penny that you want to assess yourself. And so you are worth it. And the last thing is that you may find that you don't define yourself by your work. Right? That's sort of my biggest takeaway. It's like, I am content with my life, and I work to live. I don't need the status of a cool job title to, to basically consider myself a worthy person of all the great things in life. So that's sort of a deeper kind of breakthrough, but it's definitely something I got out of this course. Yeah.
Aw,
That was a big roundabout way of answering that question. I hope
I love it. No, no, no. I just want to hug you. Those are wonderful insights. They're so great. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jody, you've been amazing, and you've been super fun to interview. And I know you've got some questions to go post in the Facebook community group, which I will be in there later this evening, and I will try to answer them and give you some good reading recommendations that I think will help you a lot,
Mhm.
and some other cool things for you there. So I want to thank you so much for your time this morning, and for taking the time to hop on and just kind of tell us about your freelancing journey, and how things are going for you, and give those people who are out there who are thinking about freelancing, or they're like already in their journey, but like give them some hope. So I think
Absolutely.
that's super cool. So thank you so much for your time this morning.
Yeah, and then thank you for having me, Dee. It's been a lot of fun. I hopefully this helps somebody. So
Yeah, most definitely will. All right, I'll
yeah.
see you in the group.
I'll see you in the group.